When it comes to monitors these days, you've got curvy, thin, thick, wide, ultra wide, but the question remains, can you really go too big? BenQ doesn't seem to think so, and neither do we. This is their new Jumbo Mega Super Duper Deluxe 48-inch Mobiuz EX480UZ 4K OLED monitor, and it's a big boy. This is Sergio AM. Welcome to It Came From a Box. This year, we wanted to upgrade our old but reliable 2015 BenQ monitor, and the timing works out perfectly with their new Mobiuz line, specifically that jumbo behemoth. As you'd expect, the box is pretty big and it weighs just under 50 pounds, so it helps to have an extra set of hands to set it up, which I did not have. Now, 48 inches for a TV is a pretty average size, but for a desktop monitor, it's huge, and it's also heavy. The legs use up about 10 inches of space, which is wider than our monitor stand, so I needed to use a mini jack to hold up the rear. As for adjustments, we only get a slight vertical tilt. Then I set it up as far back as I could, which is about 20 inches from my eyes, and that works fine for multitasking on a PC with a lot of small windows, but once you go full screen with a game, it gets overwhelming. At this distance, it fills your field of view, which gives you this sense of immersion, but you're going to scan around a lot, similar to sitting in the front row of a theater. So for the best experience, you're going to want to increase that distance. The design is a refined take on that futuristic vibe, very slick and modern. Build quality is solid all throughout, and it's got a silver color scheme with these bright orange highlights that really pop. On the front, we have a 48-inch display with thin bezels and an anti-glare screen, which really helps reduce reflections. On the side profile, you can see that skinny display that bulks out towards the bottom to house those components. And even the back looks great with that geometric design throughout that includes 4 angled RGB lights, which yes, you can customize. So let's take a look at the layout. Under the display, we have a speaker bar. In the center, a light sensor and an IR sensor for the remote. On the bottom, we have our controls. There's buttons for HDRi, input, and power, which also has a bat signal notification light. Then we have an OSD joystick to navigate the menu, but you're better off using the included remote, which handles all that and more. Then on the left, we have what separates it from a TV, which is I/O, so let's talk ports. On here, we have a USB upstream that connects to your PC, and that's for these 2 USB 3.1 ports. Then we have a versatile USB-C port for video, data, and up to 90-watt power delivery, so it can do something like display and power a laptop or even a Steam Deck. Then we have a DisplayPort 1.4 socket, 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, a SPDIF port, and a good old reliable headphone jack. And finally, we have our power jack on the other side. So here's all the specs. Pause to check that out, and let's talk main features. Starting off, we have the 48-inch OLED panel, apparently sourced from LG. It has a 4K resolution, and whether it's movies or games, the picture quality here is beautiful. It has HDR10 support, and the default setting seems to have a bit of a warm tint to it, but with their 2 HDRi modes, it automatically optimizes the image by adjusting brightness and contrast based on the ambient light level and the content on the screen, which gives us a much better result. In-game, that expands the range of color while giving it a lot of depth, which helps pick up all those details in the environment. Now for content that doesn't support HDR, this monitor can emulate it, and it does a pretty decent job, but it's a bit harsh with upscaled 1080p content, especially if it's really bright and colorful. As for brightness, ideally you want over 500 nits for an optimal HDR image, but here it maxes out at 450 nits with a full screen brightness of 135. So sadly, it's on the lower end, which means it produces a less realistic looking contrast. Now, in my experience within this dimly lit studio, it never felt like it lacked brightness, and unless you have something to compare it to, I don't think most people's eyes will perceive that it does. Regardless, to get the most out of it, you know how it goes. The less light, the better it looks. But for the next version, I'd love to see BenQ aim much higher. Moving on to color, it covers 98% of the DCI P3 color gamut that after a bit of tuning gives us some very vibrant yet natural colors as well as sharp and clear contrast thanks to those perfect blacks you get from an OLED. Blues and greens have a deep richness to them, yellows and oranges looked brilliant without being muddled together. White and light blues in the sky weren't blown out, but instead maintained those subtle gradients really well. Just about everything that supports that 4K pixel count looks brilliant on here, and even stretched out 1080p Nintendo Switch games still look pretty good. Now these days, most of the latest AAA games on console max out at 60 frames per second, but there's a few titles that can go further, which this monitor works really well with. Now, even though this Mobiuz line has HD and 2K monitors capable of 240Hz, at this big 48-inch screen size, it maxes out at 120Hz. Wish it was 144Hz, but unless you're a PC esports enthusiast trying to get every frame out of CSGO, this is still more than enough for most people, and keep in mind that both the PS5 and Xbox Series X only support up to 120Hz, and it also supports variable refresh rate. So, with compatible games, 4K at 120Hz paired with a 0.1 millisecond response time gives us a very smooth, fluid experience, and it goes further on PC with support for AMD's FreeSync and Nvidia's G-Sync. Altogether, that enhances fast-paced games that require precise and quick reaction time by making them feel snappier and more responsive. Next, in this soundbar, we have a 2.1 audio system by Trovolo with two 5-watt speakers and a 10-watt subwoofer in the center. For monitor speakers, they're actually really good. In a small space, details come through clear, it's very dynamic, with vibrant highs that give off a well-balanced sound. But it lacks that punchy bass, and it's not loud enough for larger spaces where it starts to flatten out. Now, normally you can tweak those details, but we don't have those settings as an option. So the only thing you can do is choose from one of their 5 sound modes, with Cinema being the one we preferred. Overall, they're better than what you see in most monitors, but for bigger open spaces, I'd suggest either a headset or a dedicated system. And finally, it has a few additional features worth mentioning, such as picture-in-picture mode that lets you display multiple inputs at the same time in a few useful layouts. There's an adjustable display mode so you can view content at their native resolution. KVM support, which lets you hook up a keyboard and mouse to use across multiple devices. Scenario mapping, which allows you to set customized presets per input. And it also has a lot of features to help prevent eye strain. So I've been using this as our main display for about a month now, and no regrets, I think it's awesome. Yes, the lack of brightness is a bummer, but that's where BenQ's auto adjustment features kick in and tinkers behind the scenes to balance it out and deliver a beautiful image. At the end of the day, this is a situation where the pros outweigh the cons. We have solid performance for every platform, and it takes full advantage of the PS5 and Xbox Series X capabilities. It's big, but that screen real estate is great for multitasking on PC, and if you want to go full screen, that 4K image looks beautiful, and it's even better at just a few feet back. It also has a few useful tricks up its sleeve, which makes it very versatile. I like to think of it as an odd yet beautiful unicorn of a monitor. It's niche, but that's sort of our thing here. In the future, I'd love to see them tackle an ultra-wide version, and I'll see if I can get my hands on one of their more tame monitors in this Mobiuz line to compare later on. So now I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments, and let's talk it out. Also, if you're looking to pick up anything featured in this video and want to support us at the same time, please check out the affiliate links down in the description below. Once again, this is Sergio AM. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you for the next box.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to help us out, you can do so by clicking that thumbs up button. And while you're at it, why not subscribe for more content? It's free. We also love to hear you out, so please leave a comment down below or talk with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Sergio IM, and I'll see you for the next box.